Hello, hi there, and welcome to How to Change Your Frequency and Your Reality. My name is Bella. Most people know me as Bella, the Secret Psychic. And for the next few minutes, really, maybe about 20 minutes, I'm going to be talking to you about the things that you can do to change your frequency and your vibration. Why? To improve your life in a much more positive way, so that you can understand that you can take control over what happens to you. And I do have many videos that I have on YouTube on my channel called The Secret Psychic that goes into some of this a little bit more detail. But for now, in this talk, I specifically want to give you some techniques that you can do today to change your own frequency, to start having abundance, to start manifesting things positive in your life, and so that things are not a challenge, but also so that you can understand why things have been a challenge, why you've had blocks to manifesting, why and what you can do about it. So, are you living a life of purpose right now? Maybe, sort of. No? Are you happy? Well, I want you to be happy most of the time, not some of the time. I want you to understand whether you're living your life's purpose and how you can do that as well. What we're going to do is we're going to look at energy blocks. And for those of you who know me and have seen some of my videos, when I talk about spirituality, or when I speak about source energy and who we are and what we're made out of, you just have to look at it in a very scientific way, just to start off right off the bat. We are all energy of some sort. Neurons, electrons, atoms. When you break us all down, me, you, everybody, we are energy of sorts. And energy is affected by our thought vibrations, is also affected by other things also as well. And I'm going to talk about one of the things in a scientific way to try and help you explain before I go on to teach you some techniques as well. So I'm here in London. This is where I'm from. And again, what I do for a living is, as it says on the tin, my name is Bella the Secret Psychic, and so I do psychic type work. But what I do is not unique, and it is not necessarily the phenomenon that most people think it is. Everybody can do what I do. It's just about understanding how you can do this. And I'm going to teach you a little bit today some of what that is. Because I don't just read for other people, read their future. I do other things as well. I teach people how to unblock the negative energy, the blocks that are in their life that stop them from feeling purpose, from feeling happiness. Basically, I have a unique gift where I can actually just look at an individual, or even speak to an individual, or actually not even that, sometimes somebody can write to me and I can zone in, a bit like Xavier from X-Men. I can read that person's energy, and not only from that can I tell what path they're on, and to give them guidance and some insights on what's before them, and perhaps that might be good news or bad news and how to change that for themselves. But also with that, I can see the blocks that are in somebody so that they're able to change some of those blocks in order to move forward and move past in a much more positive way, basically overall. So today's talk is about changing your life and freeing you from those blocks. Isn't that going to be a wonderful thing, guys? And I tell you, when you know what it is so simple. It is simple, and you have to try it. It's very simple, and when you try it, it works immediately. It works immediately. So bear with me, stick with me, 20 minutes of your time just to find out how you can change your life for the positive, doing it yourself, tapping into what we all have the power within us to do. It's got to be a good thing, right? So I'm going to teach you how to break free from the cycle and free you from the lower energy levels, which I'm going to talk about in more detail, so that you are lifted to a much higher vibration. Now, some people have heard me say this before. You need to imagine, when you see the helicopter blades, when they're static, they're still, they're not moving, but then when they are in rotation, they go so fast that you can't see them, but they're there. That's the higher vibration that I kind of want people to get to, because it is life-changing, life transformation in every way. In every way. So what I'm going to be talking about is, firstly, how I see the world, and how, if I can impart that onto you, how things in your life can be changed forever. So again, you need to see yourself like energy, like atoms, because that's in the reality what makes you who you are, makes what the table is, makes what this computer is that I'm talking into right now. But also I think you need to look at the events in your life, your values, your beliefs, your perception of things based on the knowledge and experience and information that's come to you. When you sit just for a second and think about your values and belief in particular, what has made up your reality today and where you are and your thought forms that you have today? What has made up that reality for you? Just think about it. So for me, it's going to be family, it's going to be friends, it's going to be society, the media, culture, religion, my spirituality. And because I work with my spirit guides, it's going to be also them too that have made up my reality, have made up who I am as a person today. So what for you has made up your reality, your perspective? It's important that you understand this from the get-go. How many of you have been blocked from achieving reality? You know, you've gone to do something, you want to achieve something, and things have been blocked. I'm going to talk to you because I've talked about and I've mentioned that we're made up of matter and atoms and source energy and neurons, you know, when you break us all down at a very sort of subatomic level. But I'm going to talk about something called polarity. Now, polarity is what our entire Earth, our entire universe is made up of. There is the positive and the negative in things, you know. So, for example, you have, I've got it here in this list, you have water that if you freeze it, the opposite to that will be frozen. But also, if you steam water, it has another variation of it being a sort of gas to being steam. So that's kind of like one of the variations that you can have when you think about polarity. You know, think to yourself the different sort of opposites that happen all the time in what it is that is the opposite in what happens in, you know, our, not just our reality, yeah, I guess in reality of sorts. So you have light and darkness, you have true and false. And even with what I talked about with atoms and stuff, you have electrons and you have neurons. And the opposite to that would be protons. So everything in our universe, everything is made up of polarity, which basically ultimately means opposite ends of things. And we, in our conscious awareness, as in our human aspect, can sometimes be one or the other, or a variation, just like water. Like water can be a variation. And on the subject of water in particular, we're going to focus on this. So there was a doctor called Dr. Emoto. Now, some of you may or may not have heard of Dr. Emoto. I'm going to talk about specifically what he did as a scientific experiment, but you can also check him out yourself. Fascinating experiment. And what he did is he just done some experiments with water. And I need you also to be thinking that we as people are made up of about 70% of water, so that you can grasp this also as well. So what he did is he got plain tap water and he froze the water. And when he froze it, he got a microscope and he just took this picture here. Plain tap water. So as you can see, it kind of looks like water. Nothing fabulous is happening there. There's no patterns necessarily, no real sort of formations. It just looks like frozen water particles and stuff, water matter. Then he said to himself, okay, I'm just going to do an experiment and I'm going to get now different bottles of water. Same tap water, but just put them in different bottles. And I'm going to put a label on each of these bottles. And one bottle I'm going to put love. One bottle I'm going to put joy. One bottle I'm going to put really like fool. Another bottle I'm going to put, oh, you're useless or something like that. And then every day he would pick up the bottle, one of the bottles, or each of them every day. So the one that had love, he would pick it up and he'd say, oh, I love you. You're so amazing. You quench my thirst. You're awesome. I'm so in love with you. And then with the joy one, he would pick that up and he would say something joyous to the water about how joyous it was. And with the other two that he did a bit more negative, he picked up the negative one and said, you're a fool. You're stupid. You know, so foolish. And he'd do that every day. every single day. And then he put those bottles of water, after about, a couple of weeks, under the microscope to see whether he'd see this same pattern that you see here, or whether something had changed. Now hold on to your horses, guys, and remember, we are 70% of water. This is what he saw. So when he was giving love and thanks to the water, the picture of the atoms and the pattern in the atoms was like this. It was completely changed from it being kind of nonsensical to this absolutely beautiful, beautiful pattern. Right, hold on. This is when he said to the water every day, I hate you, you make me sick. Can you see that? I think just those two, and I'm going to show you the other ones as well, are profound in itself. All right? When he said to the water, every day, I hate you, you make me sick, this is what happened to the water. It basically changed its shape formation. This is scientific. Again, you can go and check out Dr. Emoto yourself. This one is joy. How beautiful is that? Again, just it's different as well, different from the love and thanks. Beautiful. And if you don't believe me, skip back and go and have a look. Different, but beautiful. The pattern, the molecules, and the energy, the pattern in the water that you could see from the neurons and the matter, they changed into this beautiful shape. And this is the one where he called it a fool every day. Doesn't look good, does it? It doesn't feel good just looking at it, does it? This is the one, oh my God, this is a really good one. I forgot about this one. This is the one for gratitude. And for those of you who are on my Facebook page, I often run gratitude sort of posts to remind people to be grateful for things. Why? Because basically, and the way I see it when I look at people and people's energy, is like it creates an energy vortex basically around you. And every time you're grateful, you've got to imagine that the universe is seeing that and sending you more down this kind of portal to you. So every time you're grateful, the universe basically sends you more stuff to be grateful for. But again, look at the water pattern. I think that must be the most beautiful one out of them all. It's beautiful. So, because of his intention for what he was saying and how he was being and his thought forms with those bottles of water, his intention was the key to everything. His feelings and his thoughts were the key to everything. Now, if that pattern can be influenced and affected by just speaking to water, and you and I is made up of 70% of that water, how on earth do you think it's affecting you? Do you think that's going to give you a life where you're feeling happy or joyous or things are going well or good? I think you're going to struggle a bit, aren't you? There is even a Dr. Brand who did the same type of experiment on a human blood cells, and the same thing. The difference was that when the negative message was given to them, they just slowed right down. They didn't work so well. They didn't produce much more red blood cells. And this is why sometimes people can get diseases, because our body mind and our intentions and our thought forms can create the very illness that we don't want. We get fearful or anxious. It's not that what we do to our mind and how we live our life and how we feel purposeful or happy, it also impacts our health. This is why this message I'm doing, this tutorial I'm doing is free, because I want everybody to be able to raise their awareness, raise their consciousness, to become happier. As a society, we need to shift there and get there sooner rather than later. Nobody on this planet needs to have lack. Nobody on this planet needs to have the challenges that we have. We're all here to raise our consciousness and to have joy and happiness, and this is what this talk is about today. So why is it that some people struggle to manifest things? Because I'm sure that some of you are seeing this now. You've probably heard about the law of attraction, manifestation, probably heard about The Secret, all that kind of stuff, and you've tried it and it doesn't work. Why is it a struggle to people? Well, I'm going to break it down. I'm going to explain it also to you why that is. And again, it's about energy and the energy blocks that happen for us. So this is something called the logarithmic Have I pronounced that right? And that's my cat in the background deciding she wants to appear in the background. The logarithmic scale, basically, and it's a scale looking at the energy, looking at the lower frequencies that I have mentioned, all the way up to the higher frequencies and how they impact our lives. So again, you might want to pause on this to have a little bit, better quick look at what that looks like. But I'm going to be touching on some of these now. So right at the bottom, the energy fields, particularly when I look at a person and some of the blocks that they may have, quite often they're stuck on the lower energy, which is of shame or guilt. It's that repetitive messages that they're not good enough, that something is not achieving, and so therefore they feel guilty or they feel shame. And they're at the level of sort of 20 or 30. And Dr. Brown, who did this kind of scale to kind of break it all down, he measured certain sort of famous people in life to see where they were on the scale. So, for example, Hitler came about 37, which means that, ironically, he did feel a bit guilty about what he did. But again, guilt is on a very low energy frequency. And don't worry, if you ever feel guilty, it doesn't mean that you are like him. It's just an example of when we are in those lower energy fields, it's quite hard to impact change into your life unless you start to change your thoughts. So then you've got apathy and grief and fear, which all again sit under 100 in terms of the energy levels. Now I'm going to jump up, and again you can pause this video if you want to just look at the different scale, but I'm going to jump up to some of the higher numbers, because what is important for those people that vibrate just a little bit high, even if it's at willingness, even if it's at acceptance, those people that sit at 300, 400, 500, 600 in terms of the energy levels can influence, can impact those that are sitting in the lower energy fields. And if it makes you feel comfortable, sort of, the whole entire planet, most of the energy in the planet from human beings, the average is about 200. Most people sit at 200, which is just before courage, sort of going into neutrality. And for some countries, they can be a bit higher, but no more than 300. But the average is about 200. And as species, we've evolved arms, legs, a head, eyes, talking. But what our next level is about raising ourselves now, emotionally, understanding who we are, raising our thought forms so that we are vibrating at a higher frequency, like joy and love and peace and enlightenment. So again, go back to that water experiment. When joy and love was being said to that water, what happened to the molecules in that water? Dramatically changed into a beautiful formation where there was no problems, perfection almost. Whereas if you said shame or guilt or called somebody horrible or the water fearfully, it was distorted, it was quivering, it's just not good. And you can see that when you look at it. Source energy, the universe wants you to vibrate at a higher level. It's time for the human race to raise its vibration to get to a higher level. And again, I'm going to give you some techniques about how you today can do that for yourself today. Did you know also that for those who do vibrate at love and joy and peace, so somebody who vibrates at the level of love, they personally can influence up to 700,000 people just by their energy, just by the way that they look at things and how they process in their life. And if you are at the stage of enlightenment, so think about Buddha, think about Jesus, think about the Dalai Lama and that are alive today, Mother Teresa, the Pope. When you vibrate at that level, you can influence millions of people and help them to raise their vibration. Once you understand this and you can expand instead of contract, you liberate yourself. And it's about learning to change your thought forms, as simple as that, which sounds simple but not so easy to put into practice as well. But again, I'm going to show you how to do that also. I think Einstein was at 499, which was at the state of reason, which is where most scientists actually sit. But he was just 1 point below love. Why? Because he didn't necessarily believe in all this kind of stuff, even though he did. He was a quantum physics, which is all about observation, matter, energy, and how that can influence our thoughts and reality also too. Fascinating stuff. So do go and have a look at the quantum physics, which I've also have a video on as well. So I digress. Let's move forward. So your consciousness can affect any area of your life. So even though I've said here there are different energy levels, when I look at a person, they may have their health perfectly good. When they think about their health, they're in really good alignment. It's fine. They may also have a really wonderful career, and that is fine. But their love life, not so good. They've got a lower vibration of energy. So I will dip right in, and it will be that aspect that will need to be raised to a higher vibration, and I will work with somebody in order to help them do that. Just now, think about the areas of your life. So you've got health and wealth and love, you've got relationships, career. Each of these can have a different vibration. Which one of those categories would you, if you had to list them in order of, the top one being the best and one of them being the least, the last two maybe need some work on, because ideally they should all be at the same level of happiness and vibration. And again, like I said, I'm going to teach you how to do that today. So let's move forward. Basically, partly why we are at a lower vibration is because we make a judgment, and a judgment is a series of conclusions that we've brought and sold to ourselves after seeing or experiencing or knowing something. So what goes into our brain, what affects the neurons in our brains that fire off certain things that then our ego will kind of feed off, is what we've experienced and what we have seen. And those things generally impact our thought forms about whether we can trust that the future will be better. So quite often what we do is we live in the past. We don't live in the future. So how do you improve your frequency? You need to quit judging everything. And we all do it. It's human aspect. But you need to quit judging everything. Don't pull your judgments into your reality. Don't pull your fears and your worry into your reality on a regular basis. But overall, just stop judging. But most important, stop judging yourself. So, for example, I'm a woman. And as a woman, I may make certain judgments about what it is like to be a woman. So, for example, I might say I may not make as much money as a man because men always make more money. Now, I might have that judgment because of the way I've been brought up or my experiences so far, but then there's stuff loaded behind that opinion. So why do I think like that? And you can just sort of trace it all the way back. There will be a moment or several moments that have led to me having that belief. And by the way, I don't have that belief, but if I did, that's where it might stem from. So in order to stop judging yourself that you can't do something, but if you can identify that there is something that you can see that you do judge yourself about, look back to where that came from and deal with the root of why that was, is one of the first things to consider, basically, as you go forward. So these are some of the negative messages that we give ourselves. So quite often we will say things to ourselves like, I can't have that, or we've heard that message before. So our parents said, oh, you can't have that because we don't have enough money, or you can't have that because actually because of your gender or because of your sexuality or because of your skin colour, it's not afforded to you, or it's much more of a struggle. Those repetitive messages that you give yourself, but you hear from others or you get from social media, all those values and beliefs that I talked about right at the beginning, can impact the way you think about stuff. So stop that judgment. Stop saying I can't have, say that I can have. Because when you start thinking like that, even if you're not sure how you're going to get it, trust me, in time the universe will start aligning things to you so you can get exactly what you wanted. another thing that we can have misconceptions because of the way that we've been brought up. So, for example, we might say things like rich people are just mean. You know, to be rich, you have to be ruthless and hard and horrible. It doesn't, you know, it's only for the minority. And actually, quite a lot of us on this planet will say rich people are in the minority, rich people are in the minority. And when collectively we are doing that, then of course what happens? We manifest it as a collective. But if you start to change your thought forms that you are worthy enough to make money. Why? Just because you are you. When you can start to think much more positively and believe that you almost have it already now, and that being rich is not mean or horrible or anything like that, and only good for people who want to walk over each other or take advantage of people. No, rich people and poor people are just the same. Beautiful, love, joyous, kind. And you're a kind person. Don't you deserve to be rich? Change the thought forms, change the message that you've been getting through a generation and through society. Again, things like I can't because I'm a woman, I can't because I'm gay, I can't because I'm black. Whatever your can't is, get rid of it, get rid of it, get rid of it, get rid of it. In fact, get rid of the word I can't because. If you start your sentence mostly with I can't because, and then you've got something else you want to say after that, then you will have. You'll be manifesting exactly what you say that you can't do. When you start sentences with like, I don't know. So again, I had a client that when I used to work with them, I'd ask them, what do you want to be in the future? And she'd say, oh, I don't know. I was thinking about doing some hair design, you know, and do some, you know, makeup things. I said, well, that's good. And then I said, okay, so what do you feel like doing tomorrow? Oh, I don't know. I think I might just take a bath or something like that. And then I say to her again, you know, what kind of man are you looking for? She goes, oh, I don't know. I think, you know, somebody tall, dark and handsome. And I sat there and I was like, this person doesn't realise that every time she starts the sentences with, I don't know. So immediately her response to absolutely everything was, I don't know. Quite a negative, low frequency. So I had to work with her to work back to the root of why that was, and it turned out that when she was a child, and whenever she, especially when she was a teenager, and she'd buy something or do something, her parents would say to her, well, why are you doing that? And at first she'd give them the reasons, but because they aren't so frequently, in the end she kind of just got nervous and, well, I don't know, because I wanted. And so she kind of was apologising for the reasons why she was doing things, which then built into a habit. But little did you know, it was then impacting all the joy that was happening in her relationships, in her love life, in her career, because she just didn't know. She became the language she used. Change your language, be mindful of it. It's very easy to do and not to fix. But I think just by watching this, if you can start to recognize the language you use and just change it, be much more grateful. Like I said, that vortex. It changes extremely quickly. And like I said, because you've got subsects, this is why it's a struggle sometimes for people. They get so far with their manifesting, and then they go, oh, nothing's working. Well, it's not you that says that, it's your ego that comes out and says, well, it's not working, is it? Because it should have worked by now. And why does it do that? Because your ego is your friend, trust me. It's what keeps you alive every day. It keeps you in survival mode. It keeps you from pain and suffering. Because your ego, your soul loves you, but it will want to feed on what it's naturally been feeding on, which is those negative chemical releases that you get that then form the thought forms that you have. So when that happens in your manifesting and it comes up and like, oh, well, I've been doing this for a month now and nothing's changed, nothing's happening. No, push through it. Keep going. Keep going. Because it will change. It will change. It's changed my life. It's changed many people who truly and absolutely understand what God, the law of attraction, is in the scientific and the spiritual sense. Push through it. And then you start to see it happening. And then you become a believer. And then you'll be doing videos like this to spread the word to make sure that everybody else can do it too. Remember, it's not just your ego. You get judgments from other people also. And the reason why that is because you start to align, you start to resist, and you start to agree with those messages. So you can imagine your ego or your friend going, oh, I don't believe in that. That's rubbish, you know. There's always going to be a struggle, you know, just get on with it. You know, it's always going to be difficult. You can't be rich, you know, or, you know, earn 10 grand more next year. Why not? Just because somebody says so, just because your ego says so, because it looks difficult, because the path looks difficult, well, actually change it. Change your thought forms from it being difficult to it being really easy. Change it so that you know that you have it almost now. And I can tell you now, a wonderful thing will happen. Stop reacting to the things and the environment around you, to the people around you, and start to remember, just like Dr. Emoto's experiment, that you are 70% water. And when you're telling yourself, you know, I can't, I don't know, I have lack, things are a struggle, what do you think that you are doing to yourself? What do you think you're doing to your happiness and to your life's purpose? Take the fear and attachment away from things. So, for example, I knew somebody that parents had, I forget what type of cancer it was, but basically they had said to themselves, I'm going to do everything in my power to keep myself healthy so that I do not get the same type of cancer. And they did. They lived the life where they were healthy, happy, didn't smoke, didn't do any of those things. And even though they didn't want it, the one thing that drove them to live that healthy life was the fear that they didn't get it. But because they attached such a strong fear to that illness, guess what happened? They did get the same type of illness. Luckily, we knew each other, and they know this all the work I did, so I worked with them to free that energy block. And you can do that, you know, with somebody like me. You can do that through Reiki. You can do that through acupuncture. You can do it in a myriad of different things. You can do it even by watching this video today, because I'm going to teach you at the end how you can unblock things and start to unblock things yourself. But you need to understand the why before you can understand how to fix it. Hence why I'm talking about this today. When you have fear attached to something, even if you're trying to live, but you still are holding on to that thought, that fear form, and it's stronger and it's stronger and stronger. And particularly with that person in question, the older they got and the more nearer they got to the age that their parent had it, the worse the fear got, no matter how much good they were doing to themselves. You know, basically, don't attach a fear to a pink elephant, because you never know, a pink elephant might turn up. And I jest, but stranger things have happened. I could tell you some stories. I could. So, again, you need to change the thought form about you can't do this because ... You can, because that phrase in itself is based on your current values and your current beliefs. But this is the very clue to unblocking things. And one of the first techniques that I would be suggesting to people is basically like to get a piece of paper, basically, or journal or something like that. And every time you think or catch yourself saying, oh, I don't know, or I can't, or it's a struggle, just to note and write it down and what it was about. And then when you get some time to sit and look and think back, basically, into when that first thought came about. And then you're going to do the technique that I'm going to show you in a minute about how to change that, how to change your frequency, how to reprogram that block that you had, basically. So it's a bit like that, really. You need to understand, basically, that you're an infinite being. You need to understand that you have choice. You have to have awareness. In order to raise your frequency, you can't be asleep anymore. You have to consciously be aware of who you are and your thought forms, which, considering we live in a fast-paced world, we sometimes don't allow ourselves that opportunity to do that, but do it because it changes your life. And I don't want to sound like a hippie, but I'm stressing this, and this is why this video is for free. It's because it is life-changing. Choose to be powerful. Choose to understand that you are the universe, that you are source, that you have the power to change absolutely anything. You're not broken. But if you give yourself that repetitive message, so for example, I had a person who would say to himself, well, I'm always broke all the time. I never have any money. I'm broke and broke and broke. And they would say that all the time. Now, not only were they actually broke when it came to lack of money, but can you imagine what other things in their life started to break? Lots of things, the relationships, because they kept using and believing in this mantra that they were always broke. So things broke for them. Change the energy pattern. So that's the technique. I skipped ahead a little bit, but the technique with the paper, that's not necessarily the cure for it. But like I said, I'm a great believer that if you can't track and understand and have awareness about where your blocks are coming from, so you don't need someone with me to say, look, there's where your blocks are, go fix them. You can do this for yourself. Once you can identify them, once you check yourself out, then you change the message. When you hear yourself say, I don't know, rewind, say it again. A much more positive way. I do know I want to be this. I do know where I'm going tomorrow. I do. I would say here, actually, this is the phrase you should say instead. What would it take? What would it take for me to be able to get that new car? What would it take for me to have a new job? What would it take? Start using that a bit more. Because when you do that, your brain starts to find solutions. Because it's again, our brain is designed to do that. It changes your thought forms. When you do that, and you can see the path, and you see the way, your energy level will change. You actually start to draw in the very thing that the universe wants to align you to bring you a new reality, purpose, and happiness. Start changing your language. And just like I said, you saw the grateful water form, didn't you? And how beautiful it was, how perfection it was. I am a massive advocate that you need to be blessed for the things that you do have and to be grateful for things you do have, because the universe, I promise you, will send you much more things to be grateful about. Make it your daily practice from today, just like brushing your teeth, that you will do this for yourself every day. Find 3 things to be grateful about. The more the better though, but 3 things. And watch how more grateful things come into your life, as well as this technique I'm going to show you, which takes less than a couple of minutes to do. So find 3 things to be grateful for, open up that vortex, let more grateful things come in, so that more abundance, more manifesting, much more positive vibration of love and joy and happiness and enlightenment and reason can be there, so that you can change your life, but not just your life, other people. Be grateful. So now I'm going to give you the technique. Are you ready? It's so simple. So what I want you to do, guys, is all you need to do, and you could do this any time of the day, think about it like brushing your teeth. Do this every day or twice a day. Just simply close your eyes. So close your eyes right now with me. Close your eyes, and I want you to just close your eyes and just visualize this yourself, your inner self. You can feel your inner self. And then from there, I want you to just expand out a little bit. So imagine you've got this energy that's inside of you, and you're going to expand it out a little bit. Just expand it out so it's now just outside of you. Now I want you to expand that energy some more so that it fills the entire room that you're in. And now I want you to expand it so it's just outside. It's covering the whole of your house. And now I want you to expand it more so that you've expanded your energy so that it has been sent through the entire city or village that you live in. And now I want you to expand it more. I want you to expand it so that it is around your entire country that you live in. And now I want you to expand it more so that your energy is now expanded across the entire earth. And now I want you to expand it more so that it's past Jupiter. And now I want you to expand it more. And now I want you to expand it more until it can't go anymore. And when you can feel how expanded you are in this moment, and you'll feel it, you'll feel the vibration that you are all of everything and all of all things. Sit in this space and look at the things that you've been blocked And I want you now to change those blocks in this space as you are connected to all of reality, all of source energy, because you realize that with this energy, as you've just expanded, that you can reach and do anything. So in this place, reprogram the things you do desire, that you do want. Say those good things. Be grateful. What is it you want right now? What is it you know you will have? And make it so. Reprogram in this space right now. And just breathe. And feel the joy and feel the love and feel the power that you have. You are powerful. You are powerful. Change it, change it. You can, not you can't. You can, I will, I do. What will it take? And when you're done, you can open your eyes, but carry that sense of expansion that you have with you right now. Carry that beautiful expansion as you open your eyes and feel right now, immediately, how happy you feel already. It's a very short, quick, very short meditation visualization, but it's a powerful one. Do it every day, twice a day if you can, 3 times a day if you can. And you watch how quick things change around for you. I promise you. You watch how quick things turn around. Change that message to, I'm not loved. That person doesn't love me, to, I am loved beyond any measure. I'm wonderful. I'm superb. Change that message from, I'm always going to struggle with money, to, I do have money and I'm grateful for the money that I have. I'm grateful that more is coming to me just because I'm me. Change the message in that space. It's a really good feeling. It's a really good feeling. This is my gift to everybody who's seen this today, because I want people to be able to understand why things are a struggle, how you can change it, and how you can unblock yourself. Very easy, super easy. So I really hope that this has been helpful. And as an added bonus, if you would like to get my free audio, free angel audio, then do share this. For every person that you share and you collect some more points, you will get access to my free angel audio that you'll get a link to as soon as you've achieved that too. But also just share this, because the more people that see this and can do this and can understand, the more you're like that love, energy on that scale. You're affecting one other person. So if you know somebody who you'd love to help raise their vibration, to bring them some happiness, then I'll be honoured for you to pass this on. So I've been Bella, and you've all been amazing. Thanks so very much for taking a few minutes out of your day to give yourself this wonderful gift. Take care.